My name's Kevin Dillon. Welcome to LOCKUP. LOCKUP is a police combative arrest and control program. The acronym LOCKUP itself, Law Officers Combat Kinetics Unarmed Panoply. Law officers because this fighting system, this arrest and control combative system is designed for law enforcement, military, and security personnel. Those of us that are governing by use of force issues, policies, procedures, ethical values, restrictive uniforms, limited amount of training, and our ultimate goal is either arrest and control or control and restraint. Combat kinetics, the combative movements, must fit the officer on the street. It must match the officer's physiological change that they experience during any time of human aggression. Combat kinetics, the movements match that officer's physiological change. The manipulations are based on gross motor skills. That means they can be trained in a limited amount of time frame and be deployed under stress over long periods of time. Unarmed panoply, unarmed means it's primarily an unarmed system. However, it is fully integrated with all weapon systems of law enforcement. Panoply means the complete shining array of a warrior. Studies have shown that officers are specifically targeted by the way they carry themselves. Panoply means professional posturing, how you professionally perform your duties. Do you look like an easy target? So all of that has to be encompassed in any type of combative training, especially when it comes to law enforcement, military, and security personnel.
Having had the opportunity and privilege of training with Lieutenant Kevin Dillon's lockup system over the last several years, one thing I can testify to is that it is battle-tested. I've used the takedowns. I've used the rear sentry takedown. I've used the heel lock center takedown modified. I've used the nose compression techniques. And the most important thing, as a police officer, this system, at the very least, can save your life.
Many people ask me, what's the difference between LOCKUP and other defensive tactics programs? Well, LOCKUP is not a defensive tactics program. LOCKUP is an arrest and control combative system, dealing with resistance and human aggression. Defensive alone, people think defense, they think they have to wait for someone to take offensive action against them before they counter. That is not the case. If an individual demonstratively displays behavior of human aggression and resistance, we learn to take first action to control the situation before it escalates to a higher level. That's the difference between offensive and defensive. Don't wait for the individual to come at you. If he displays aggression and resistance and you have the opportunity, you control it fast with offensive manipulations and offensive strategies. The LOCKUP system, we teach to fight from every level of the engagement. For example, we teach fighting capabilities from a standing position. We all know that 100% of these fights we're going to start standing up. And even from a standing position, that's where we want to control it from. But we also teach it from a kneeling position. Many times if you get hit or knocked to the ground, too many times people are trying to get up from a kneeling position. Well, that's a phenomenal fighting platform right from then and there. If you are in a kneeling position, there's plenty to do right from that position. You actually have some cover, you have a very strong base, and you can deploy countermeasures that are very effective from that position. The ground fighting aspect is just the same. We have to be able to know how to control our opponent right from a ground fighting position and get him back into control, or get him off you and escape where you can be able to deal with either multiple assailants or get back up on your feet, or take them into control right from that position. So we teach standing positions, kneeling positions, and from ground fighting positions, because one engagement can encompass all three of them.
Because I work in a university environment, we have a lot of young adults where we are working towards minimizing injury. We try to stay away from actually getting physically involved. We start to try to do our de-escalation, our verbal skills, which is also part of the program. And therefore, when we do have to put a stop to something, we're able to do it with minimal injury for the officer as well as for the student at the school itself.
Now we teach the appropriate striking techniques for law enforcement. Striking takes a great deal of energy out of the officer. Now if you are striking several times and hitting totally inappropriate targets, you're really not obtaining any of the proper goal you want to obtain. So when you strike, you have to understand the target of what you're striking and for the purpose of what you're striking for. Remember, every strike is really designed because you want a specific reaction off your strike. You just don't want to strike just for the sake of it, because all it does is diminish your own power and energy level.
Kevin Dillon has got one of the best programs we have out there. He teaches more than just combatives. He teaches the spirit. He teaches the soul of the warrior. He's a man I'm honored to call a friend. He's a man that's got one of the most revolutionary, great defensive tactics and combatives class. It's not defensive, it's combatives. But even more important, the fact that Kevin can take and teach it to executives in a lecture framework in a powerful way. He's interesting, he's funny, he's dynamic, he's got style, he's got substance, and he's got something that law enforcement executives and law enforcement trainers need to hear, and he's got tools that will save lives.